We are back. We got another consent from the creator, which is called Shay's Corner. Um, let's see what she has to say. Why I quit social media, time, privacy, and illusion of intimacy. Okay, pretty interesting. Um, looks like she is Generation Z, so let's start.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay and this is my channel, Shay's Corner. I like to talk about anything that ranges from advice, self-help, psychology, etc. That is my niche. If that at all interests you, please consider checking out my other videos as well as subscribing. There is a few more of you here than last time. I'm pretty sure most of you came from my last video, so thank you so much for choosing to subscribe to me. You know how humans can't really conceptualize big numbers or whatever? I feel like my capacity for that is much lower than the average person. Numbers stopped being real for me after like 12. So the fact that there's 21 of you here is like insane to me. So thank you so much, and I really do hope you enjoy my videos. Today I'm going to be talking about why I quit social media and what I've learned since quitting social media. I was inspired to make this video because of a recent conversation I had with my boss. We somehow got into the topic of social media and I told him that I didn't use it and things got really deep really quick. He ended up showing me this book called The Art of Being Private by Daphne Madureira. I don't think that's how you say her name, but I'll just put it on the screen. I believe she's also a fellow YouTuber. I will leave the link to her book and her channel down below if you guys.
I haven't read that book, but I have read many privacy books, so hopefully that will be the same topics. So let's see what happens.
Guys are interested. The book is an easy read. I read it in one sitting and a lot of what was said in it really resonated with me. It is biblically based, so if that's not your cup of tea, I totally understand. But I still do feel like a lot of things from that book can be applied to your life in some way, whether or not you believe in the Bible, God, the universe. I don't typically discuss why I don't use social media with people. I don't like being that person. I don't like being a buzzkill. It's not something that I bring up on my own often. But I have gotten a lot of questions about it in the past from my friends and family, so I figured I'd make a clear and succinct video explaining my thoughts about social media. I have a lot I want to cover in this video, so in order to make it easier to follow me, I will be including timestamps down below. But before we get into everything, I do want to state a few disclaimers. The first one being that I do not think social media is inherently bad. This video in particular is more so commentary on how we use social media rather than the actual platforms themselves. I also believe that it is still possible to value things like your time, your privacy, your relationships with others while still being on social media. I just choose to stay off of it for personal reasons. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. I don't want to come off as if I'm trying to demonize social media or people that use social media, because I do think good things can come from being on it, but I also think there are a lot of cons as well with being online and having an online presence. Also, before anyone comments, Tumblr is a social media. I know, trust me, I'm aware that Tumblr is a social media. I give Tumblr a pass for reasons that I will explain later. To start, I want to
So Tumblr is not as addicting. Like this is kind of the extreme ideology people have. Like I'm telling you to quit social media, but I'm mainly talking about the top 5 apps. I'm not talking about Pinterest. I'm not talking about Tumblr and those kinds of apps because they aren't inherently addicting compared to all the others, because there's a lot of social proof in the top 5 compared to, for example, Tumblr.
explain the process of me quitting and what that looked like. It was actually a very gradual process. It didn't happen overnight. The first social media I decided to get off was Instagram. Before completely deleting my account, I would go through phases of deactivating it, reactivating it, and deactivating it again. At the time, I remember my relationship with Instagram was just becoming really toxic. Instagram is very much just the highlight reel of our lives. You're constantly being exposed to these perfectly edited images on these people's perfectly edited profiles, and it can end up giving you a really distorted view of reality. I'm sure everyone can relate to what I'm saying right now. When I was on Instagram, I had a lot of body image issues and a lot of self-esteem issues because it just became a way for me to compare myself to others. And this wasn't
So that's why these apps are way worse for women, because there's a lot of risk reward is way higher than compared to men. Um, yeah.
just with celebrities or influencers. It was also with my friends. I would compare my life to theirs, who's hanging out with who. Just a lot of
Before I forget, when you relapse and activate, activate, deactivate, activate, deactivate, it's all good. But at some point, you have to realize you cannot deactivate it again. They will block you, and hopefully, that is the reasoning that you set up the boundary as a Gen Z. Like, okay, I don't want to be messed around like that because of this app.
petty stuff that I'm actually embarrassed to admit now. So I ended up deleting my main profile. For a while, I had a side account that I just used for browsing, but I ended up deleting that too. Honestly, Instagram was the easiest for me to stop using. I just remember feeling so much better after deleting it. Like all my likes are gone, the comments, my followers. I just realized that at the end of the day, none of that stuff meant anything, and it was very relieving for me.
So that's pretty interesting. Usually, this is the opposite. I'm curious if other apps were more addicting because they were more social proof. For example, would Snapchat then be her hardest to remove because everyone of a social circle is on there?
After Instagram, there was Snapchat and Twitter. Snapchat, I don't really have a story for. I just gradually stopped using it. Snapchat was already dying and wasn't really adding much to my life anyways. It took me the longest to get off Twitter and stay off of it. Despite me at the time being aware of how Twitter was affecting me negatively, it still was so hard for me to get off of it because of FOMO and me just being addicted to scrolling. Twitter in its nature is just this never-ending feed of short tidbits of information. Whether it's breaking news, people's opinions, memes, you're constantly getting exposed to new information all the time. I had a lot of other people's thoughts, but whenever I used Twitter, it just felt like my brain was getting cluttered. I just didn't want to be there or didn't need to be there. Sometimes I questioned my own thought processes and I wondered if some of the opinions I had were actually from me or if it was just from a tweet that I saw had a lot of likes. I became concerned about whether or not I was truly thinking for myself or if I was falling victim to herd mentality. Since quitting Twitter, I've found it a lot easier to listen to myself and what I think instead of waiting for someone else to tell me how to feel.
So, one Instagram is way harder than the other to delete, but yeah, Twitter is her, kryptonite, as we'd say.
Also, Twitter itself is just very stressful. Like, the trending topics is basically just the news channel now. You know how they say old people are miserable and paranoid because they watch the news all day? Don't get me wrong though, I do think it's important to be informed of the world around us, but I don't think you have to actively engage in everything all the time, especially when it's affecting your mental health. I find on Twitter, people are so quick to tweet their thoughts about everything that your feed just becomes this flood of stressful discourse and you end up doom scrolling and you get stressed out and there's just so much anxiety. Even though I found Twitter the hardest to delete, once I finally did and I stayed off of it, my stress levels dropped tremendously. When I tell you I've been chilling, okay? I've been in my own little bubble. Despite its reputation, Tumblr has actually become one of the most peaceful places on the internet. Everyone says Tumblr is dead, and it's actually a running joke on Tumblr that people think that it's dead. Tumblr is unique because it is dying and it's low-key kind of poor. It doesn't track you and the ads aren't targeted at all. The ads are actually kind of weird. There isn't an algorithm being shoved down your throat. You see posts in chronological order. You could fine tune what you want to see versus what you don't want to see. It's very much personalized. And I like that. If I just want to scroll and look at pretty pictures all day, I can do that on Tumblr. I've been able to create a positive space for myself on Tumblr that just isn't attainable on other social media platforms. Speaking of Tumblr, please be sure to follow me. My @ is @Aurora. My asks are open. My posts are delicious. Anyways, back on topic. But yeah, concern for my mental health is my main reason for breaking up with social media. And looking at mental health in a different light, I also decided to get off social media initially because I wanted to reclaim my attention span. Little psych lesson here for you guys from the psych major herself. When we're using social media, we're constantly being exposed to different short form content. We move from one shiny toy to the next shiny toy. What this does is we end up becoming addicted to the dopamine that our brain gives us every time we are introduced to new stimuli. Because of this, I noticed that my attention span suffered greatly. It became way more difficult for me to stay focused on tasks like schoolwork or reading. My mind would wander a lot and I couldn't concentrate concentrate on what was right in front of me. After I was completely off social media and my brain had time to adjust, I found that I was able to be way more productive than before. And I also just didn't have as many ways to get distracted. So with that being said, since being off social media, I have learned a few more things about myself. What I'm saying is that I think it actually took me experiencing life away from social media in order for me to fully understand just how much it was affecting me. There are 3 things that I began to value more when I quit social media, and that is my time, my privacy, and my relationships with others. So after all my accounts were deleted and the dust settled, I realized that I had so much more time on my hands than before. Because social media appeases your brain's reward centers and there's always new content to consume, it's no surprise to me that people complain about opening up an app on their phone and all of a sudden they're stuck there scrolling for a few hours. I've noticed that this is especially true with TikTok. In my opinion, I feel like TikTok has the most addictive algorithm. I remember I used it like one time and I was trying to look for one video and I was on there for an hour. TikTok is like super addictive and I have no idea why. I never even bothered using it long term for that reason. Like I noticed right away how easy it was to get caught up on the app. If we were to think about all the time that we spend just mindlessly scrolling on social media and add up the hours of each day, of each week, of each month, I feel like the time spent in total would be staggering. And this is the part of the video where I'm going to exercise caution because I don't want to get too preachy. I don't want to tell people how to use their time. Am I saying to abandon social media? No, not if you don't want to. The point I'm trying to make is that it is important to prioritize your time. Time is great and you have so much of it until you don't. And I find it ironic that in a society that is increasingly prioritizing speed and convenience, all in the name of saving time, we turn around and use that same speed and convenience to throw away our days, which is a
So let's do a bit of recap. The reasoning is pretty straightforward. She wanted to have her time back, privacy back, present moment, so definitely within the 1 year mark. However, this video is 1 year ago, so we'll be in a 2 year mark. She doesn't have like she's kind of in the middle. She's not like the most confident, but also not the most insecure. Just in the middle, pretty relaxed. Um, this video is probably made, I don't know, 4 or 5 months in, maybe, when she deleted it. Um, Let me think about it for a bit. Now, let's just continue for now.
non-renewable resource. Lately, I've been trying to practice not taking the time I'm given every day for granted. Whether I'm using this time in a productive way or I'm relaxing, I want to make sure that I'm intentional about it and that I'm mindful when I'm doing it. And because of this, my days feel way longer than they did when I was on social media. Your time is yours. It is all you have. And I'm not trying to say this to create a sense of urgency or panic in you. I'm saying this so you can be aware of the gift that you have right now as you're watching this video. When you value your time and how precious it is, you're more likely to put more consideration into what you're doing with it. And knowing how social media can affect us so negatively, is that something you really want to dedicate hours of each day to?
So that's all pretty strong. I noticed that her reasoning is pretty decent because she has faith. She doesn't necessarily have a really strong social circle, but is decent enough to rely on. When I say like really strong, like I'm comparing to some other people in the episode I've made. Like some people already had a really strong foundation, you know, they already had uh, um, a partner, she were already living together, um, they were already, um, some of them could quit cold turkey and those kinds of stuff. So um, based on that, there's faith, decent social circle. She knows what to do with her time, and she actually mentions that, oh, even if it goes to being bored or relaxed, or maybe it's productive, that means that she already conquered boredom and loneliness. Um, well, I'm not saying that she went lonely or she went bored, but she doesn't struggle with that if like most people do in when they delete social media for a couple of months. So she's already going, I think she's on a 6 month mark then. Well, maybe not. Maybe she just catches on quickly, right? Some people do.
Something else I've started to value since being on social media is privacy. As a whole, I think we're starting to really underestimate just how important and necessary it is to have privacy. We log into these apps, we tell them everything about us, they track us on other websites, how long we view ads, literally so much. And I'm not even completely immune to this. I do use Google, I do use YouTube. I think at this point, having some kind of data about you out there is just unavoidable. But when I'm talking about privacy, I don't mean in the sense of our data being exploited. That is important, but it's not what I'm talking about. I'm more so talking about the actual function of social media and how we use it to interact with others. When we look at the definition of privacy, it says the state or condition of being free from being observed or disturbed by other people. Notice that some of the synonyms include seclusion, solitude, and peace. When I initially quit social media, I didn't realize how much it altered my perception of my day-to-day life. For example, I no longer felt the need to take selfies because I had nowhere to post them. Before I deleted Instagram, I would take tons of selfies every day for literally no other reason than to have something to post to show my friends. Thinking about this is weird to me now because I just can't help but question the point of it all. Like, why do we take selfies? Do we not see ourselves in the mirror every day? I think it's because we just have this human desire for validation from others and we crave to be seen. We want the views, we want the likes, we want the comments. I know I do. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and please be sure to comment down below. We don't usually take selfies for ourselves or for memories, because if that was truly the case, we wouldn't feel the need to post them as much as we do. It's not just selfies, it's events, it's holidays, it's vacations. We share these moments in our lives for no other reason than to provoke a reaction in others, whether it's admiration or envy. I know confronting this can be uncomfortable for some people. It was for me. We don't like to admit that sometimes our online presence exists solely to seek approval from other people. Now, obviously, this isn't the case all the time, but I do feel like in general we use social media in a self-gratifying way. In exchange for this validation and attention, we give up the privacy of our day-to-day lives. I didn't realize how important privacy was to me until I was able to actually experience moments separate from the lens of social media. When I was out with my friends, I didn't have to get a group photo or video just to show everyone we were having fun together. It became purely about the moment and just enjoying each other's company and nothing else. I feel like that contentment in the essence of our experience is being displaced by social media. Our enjoyment of the moment diminishes when we have in the back of our minds that we'll have to share with other people. We are literally giving other people the power to validate our existence. Taking back this power has done wonders for my fulfillment in life. Do not underestimate the importance of privacy. The falling tree still makes noise in an empty forest. Your experiences are still meaningful and valid even if other people aren't there to witness them. Another thing I became aware of after quitting social media was just how shallow my relationships were with some people, and this thing I like to call the illusion of intimacy. I realized that a lot of my so-called friendships weren't really friendships at all. We just followed each other on Instagram. I was tuned into their lives and they were tuned into my life, but we didn't actually have a genuine connection. The only thing tethering us together was just this mutual spectating. And it's funny because after deleting my accounts, I noticed that 90% of the people that I followed and that followed me did not have a way to contact me outside of social media. They didn't have my number, an email, or anything. This caused me to reevaluate the actual importance of these people in my life. If they can't contact me, do we really know each other? If not, then why am I investing time in following their life and vice versa?
So this is the first of a couple of months, right? When you delete it, and even when you tell people like, hey, you can contact me over there, most of the people don't because they have this addiction. And I like when she said like spectator mode, spectating each other, keeping each other on the loop. But you're not gonna talk about to them. You're not gonna talk to the girl that you met 4 years ago in the club when you were exchanging lipstick or had a 1 minute conversation when you exchanged Instagram. Like you're never gonna talk to each other again. Probably never gonna meet again, right? So
I began to find out whose presence I truly valued based on the people I actually talked to and chose to include in my life. I want everyone watching this to look at their following accounts and ask themselves if they were to delete social media today, who and who would not fade away from their life. Just take a moment. Just take a moment to think about it. Who knows? Your number may be lower than my number. You may actually follow people you genuinely care about. But for the people who would fade away, ask yourself, why do you follow them in the first place? I think a lot of interesting answers could come out of that. Overall, I have healthy relationships with the people in my life because I'm able to identify what they add to my life and their importance to me. I know that our connection is deliberate and found on a genuine interest to include each other in our lives. But yeah, anyways, that is all that I have for this video. I hope it wasn't too preachy. Like I said, I'm not trying to condemn anyone. I'm not trying to judge anyone. I just wanted to give my reasons for staying off social media. I get a lot of questions about it. People always think that I'm weird, and I just wanted to clarify my reasons for staying off. Thank you so much for watching this video.
And I forgot to press the button, but let's conclude. She has a great foundation of faith. She has a great foundation in her social circle. Um, her kryptonite was Twitter, compared to all the others. That is easier because Instagram is the most addicting. Then comes Snapchat. Then comes TikTok. Why I'm saying in this order? Because we're talking about. I don't think she's Gen Z. I think she's a millennial here. Um, and that's why TikTok isn't inherently addicting. Then let's see. She's not necessarily convincing people. She's just doing her own thing, and she knows what to focus on. She did experience a bit of boredom and loneliness, and she did experience a bit of um, transitions of friends. Who's fake or who's real. That's how they call it, right? But it's not because they want to be genuine. It's just because they are addicted to the app. They cannot help it, right? So don't take it personal if friends fall off where you thought they were the real ones, right? Sorry about that. Bless me. Um, let's just check other apps that she has. Other videos, I mean. Okay, I think that's that's about it. She said that she chose Tumblr. Tumblr isn't inherently addicting because it's the way you use it, and it doesn't have all the elements that makes the top 5 apps so addicting. All right, great women. She will get there. Like, I've seen the natural confidence already, but I feel this is 1 year, and if she would make a video now, you will see her glow up, right? you would compare to that video, because this is the first year in, and then he would see like, wow, okay, like see strong, right? So that's about it for you guys. Sorry if it was muted for a while. Sometimes I just forget to click my mic on. Um, this mic is pretty new. I'm not used to this habit, but I like to not have my mic on at all times. So I want to have control. So hopefully, there was a bit of the summary somewhere mid. So if you missed it, I'm not even checking my videos. I'm not going to even apologize for it, because I'm having fun, and if you get something out of it, that's great. If you don't, then it is how it is, right? So thank you for this video, Shay. I highly appreciated that I got consent, and yeah, that's it.